Hi guys, it is my birthday. I have to tell you guys something about my ex. So, me and my ex were together for 3 years. We started in 2021 or 2. I can't really think right now because my brain is like really scattered. So, we started dating one of those years, dating for 3 years. We broke up this year, October. He broke up with me. And the reason being is because he just felt like there wasn't love anymore between us and he didn't feel good about us anymore. And honestly, I was really confused about it because I felt like everything was going so right. We just won homecoming court. We just celebrated our 3-year anniversary. His birthday was coming up because his birthday's in October too, and I was just confused. So he broke up and we didn't talk for 2 months. Then we got back in contact beginning of December. We start hanging out in December, and it wasn't about until a week ago I noticed that his mood started changing. He got quiet and just didn't seem to be himself. So, sorry guys, my phone's gonna fall. So, where was I at? He wasn't himself, up until a week ago. And I'm constantly asking, are you okay? What's wrong? I feel like you're distancing yourself. I can give you some space if that's what you need, but, I'm also here for you. I mean, his grades were slipping, and I'm doing homework for him. The whole 9 yards, trying to get this guy back up and feeling himself and just being his person and being there for him. Well, it's nothing. He's just stressed, this, that, and the fourth. So I'm like, okay. Well, today's my birthday, and I hung out with him today. He was supposed to come. He did come over. It was supposed to be my sister's boyfriend, me, and him. And so we hung out today before we were going to do our game night. And so we went just driving around all of Ohio. I don't know. We drove around, and just the atmosphere was so dull and I don't know. And I could feel something was off. And just I stayed quiet most of it. So there was that. And then my mom's like, okay, guys, so you should start heading back home. We head home. We get home. And he's like, oh, crap, my phone's dying. So I offered to plug in his phone. And I am in my room going to plug it in. And there's some girl named Alex typing. Now, Alex is not her real name. And I'm going to give you guys a backstory about Alex. I actually know her. I don't know her personally, but I know of her. So, Alex, I've had a problem with in July. And not a problem with her. Well, actually, both of them. Both of them. I can be more mad at him than her. In July, he goes to some lake every summer for 4th of July. And he met Alex. And I was in a really low state of my life when he was out at the river. So I was like, I don't really feel like talking. I'm not talking to my family, let alone you. I just feel like I need some time to myself. And, he's like, oh, I understand. I'm so sorry for you, da-da-da-da. So I'm not my normal Brooklyn self. And then when he comes back from the river, I'm fine. He's fine. And I'm like, hey, what's wrong? You just seem off. And he's like, I don't know. Something does seem off, though. I don't know. Well, I bug him about it for a week because I'm like, hey, something is actually off. What is wrong? And he's like, well, there was this girl at the river. Her name is Alex. Again, Alex is not her real name, but I'm not saying her real name. And she just made me feel so good about myself, and she just made me a happier person, and she made me feel like she cares when you weren't there. I'm sorry, what? So, I was going through something in my life, and I told you I wasn't talking to you, let alone my family. And it kind of feels like he uses that against me. I'm not allowed to be upset or be down for a little bit. I have to tend your needs. That's what it felt like. Okay, I was already pissed off about that. Well, then I find out that he was like, I feel like she likes me. Oh, so you want to keep entertaining that. Okay. I'm such a good person. Okay, sorry. I'm a good person, and I forgave him for that. That should have been the cutoff. I was really thinking about it, but it wasn't. Okay, keep in mind, this is July. So, August, September, October, then we break up. And then we start talking again in December. Today, my birthday, present time, I plug his phone in, Alex, on his phone. Now, I was like, Alex, who is Alex? Because that's not her name. And so I click on the messages. Why was just yesterday the most recent chat? And they were talking about she added him back, I guess. She added him back. I don't know how recent, but he told me that he got rid of her because after we broke up, he was telling me all the girls he added back, and he was like, I added Alex back, by the way. I only needed someone to talk to, and I was like, oh, okay. And he was like, but she got rid of me, so you don't have to worry. I don't know when Alex added him back, so had to be some point when we were talking. He was entertaining it. And I look in the chats, and he's like, why did you add me back? What made you add me back? And she was like, I've just been thinking about you, and I don't know. And he's like, oh, I've been thinking about you too. Like, I'm really glad I made a good impression on you. Like, we miss each other. Mwah, mwah, mwah. I go in their saved chats. Girls sending bikini pictures with her back, and she obviously doesn't have pants on. You can't see her buttocks, but you can tell she doesn't have pants or underwear on. She doesn't have a bra on. And she's just sending pictures of her body. And I'm 99.9999999% sure that she knows that we're together. And I can't really be mad at her because I don't know if she knew that we were together or not, but I'm pissed off at him because he led me on. He said he didn't know what was wrong. He knew exactly what was wrong. He knew he didn't want me from jump, but he wants to mess with me. So obviously I'm going to be a little upset. So yeah, and he's downstairs in the living room with my mom at this point, and my sister and her boyfriend are just behind the couch at the dining room table. And I go downstairs, heart is pounding, and I feel like I'm going to throw up. Because how can you be dry with me, and then you're out here entertaining her? It doesn't make sense. So, I'm like, Max, come to the backyard, I would like to speak to you. It's snowing outside, it's like 10 degrees, but I don't care. I would rather not cuss him out in front of my family. I go outside and I said, you can go home. And he's like, he knew exactly what it was, too. He's like, can we please talk about it? Baby, no. No. Because now I'm done. And so, you know, I'm just obviously pissed off, and I'm saying my piece like, I'm so loyal to you. You want to go after people who have no human, like, decorum, and they want to show off their body pictures and just be, like, not classy or whatever. Like, I've been loyal. I've been the whole 9 yards, guys. Well, he's like, I know, and I'm really sorry about it. Baby, you weren't sorry about it then, and you weren't sorry about it now. You're sorry because you got caught. That's all it is. Let's be honest. Because at the same time, I also looked at the saved chats. I don't know when they went to Kings Island, but they did at some point, and he was like, I'm keeping all of our stuff that they got from Kings Island or something. Okay, yeah. So that's where I'm done, and I didn't want to hear it. And then I made him go back inside, and I was like, well, everybody, Max is leaving, and we are not having a game night. We still are, but not with him. And just everyone was like, oh, why? Like, what? And I was like, would you care to tell them, Max? And he's like, sure. He's obviously shaking his boots. He's red. And, no, hold on. He's shaking his boots and red and everything. And so he's like, well, I felt like everything was wrong, but I was entertaining this girl. And the look on my mom's face, she couldn't even look at the kid because she was going to flip out. And she was just like hiding beneath the couch so like she couldn't so he couldn't see her, and she was just shaking his head. Props to my sister and her boyfriend for staring at him and making him feel like the dumbest person in the room, because he most definitely was. But yeah, I texted his mom, told her that he was cheating. And yeah, he said he was going to wait till after my birthday, but happy birthday to me. I'm 17, guys. 17 and single.
Hey guys, I'm doing a Who the F Did I Date for 3 years because I'm just bringing awareness of how you could date someone for so long and they can try to spin the narrative on you, completely change up, and I can't even recognize who they are. And try and make you seem like you're insane, but it's truly them. I saw a girl's video yesterday and she kind of went through the same things I did, and she did story time on it. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll do a video like this. I'll add her below. Okay, me and this guy, we dated for about 3 years, pretty much 3 years, and we broke up about almost a year and a half ago, and I still hear his name about once a week ever since then. And you're probably like, why is that? Oh, actually forgot to mention that after 1 month after we broke up, he started dating this girl, so that's important to what I'm about to say. I'm solely, just for the sake of time, I'm gonna go down a list of what he's done, and then I'll go into depth about everything. But one, he sent my cousin, which was about only 2 months ago. I also heard from other girls he sent them too. Asked them for that while he has a girlfriend of a year plus, and she knows about it, so I don't know what that's about. 2, he hacked my friend's Snapchat. 3, he hacked my friend's TikTok. And 4, I called his parents and they just defend him. That's not his doing, that's clearly his parents' doing. And that's just stuff that happened after a relationship, not even during the duration of a relationship. So you can probably guess some insane things that he's done. So about him sending my cousin, so this was very weird. It was around like 1 a.m. I woke up and my cousin texted me, and she doesn't text me that often, as she was going through rush hour school or something, and I know when she texts me something's like wrong, so like I answered, and it's like a screenshot of him. I kind of want to insert it, but I'll insert a different screenshot. And he was asking her like if she wanted to send, and he just sent the picture anyways. I don't know why she would want to see that, but with that, he just continuous pattern of adding my friends, and like I don't know, like he just keeps adding them, and I still don't know why. That was also the first time I called his mom, because it's annoying. He's been adding my friends since we broke up. It's very weird, and I don't know what he's doing with that. 2, when he tried to hack my friend's Snapchat and TikTok, I'll insert a screenshot of how he tried to do this, because you're probably like, how do you know it's him? I'll just show you. And this is a screenshot of him trying to get into my friend's account. Not very smart. Your name is right there. And I don't have the screenshot of him trying to get into my friend's TikTok because she panicked, so she didn't take a screenshot of it. But it said his name to like so-and-so phone region, like email, trying to get into your phone. Don't know what that's about. And previously I made a video about him, about something crazy he did, and today I had someone DM me and say they saw him in person, and they also had that experience with him, that they asked his friend for, and I'll insert that screenshot because it was from today. This is the screenshot. And I'm not sure, for anyone who thinks that sending isn't cheating, when we were dating, he constantly checked my phone and would delete guys from my phone to make sure I wasn't doing that, which I would never. And he also told me that watching was cheating and would check my phone for that and search history for that. Meanwhile, he was the one doing it while I was asleep. But that's just beyond the point. And the last thing, I told his parents about this. The first time I was very, very nice about it. I was actually respectful about it both times, when it really is annoying to hear about it all the time. And I called them and was like, hey, like, I don't know, like if he's getting hacked or something, but he keeps adding my friends every week. Can you please tell him to stop? They were like, oh yeah, like, I don't think it's him. Like, he's too busy. Like, some BS, whatever. But the second time I called them, they were very rude about it. The mom couldn't even pick up the phone. She like handed the phone to the father. He was like, yeah, how do you know if like this is even him? Like people say stuff about Trump and it's not him. I was like, that has nothing to do about anything about this. I sent a screenshot. He was like, well, I'm not gonna believe you. And he was being so rude and was like, well, he hasn't thought about you for months, and I know my son. I was like, you do not know your son. If you knew half the things that your son did, he would be in a padded room, babe. Padded room. And also, if you guys are probably like, why did you text his parents? I haven't talked. Like, he's not on my phone. He won't ever be on my phone ever again. I refuse to talk to him. But when I called his parents, they tried to tell me that he tried to add my friends and get into my friend's Snapchat because he wanted to apologize for things. They were like, he's in therapy and he wants to apologize for things he's done. I was like, but in all honesty, like, the mother was like, no, the father said that this was one of his therapy mechanisms to apologize to people, hacking into people's account and adding my friends since we broke up. Fire that therapist like tomorrow. So the second call, the father was like, send me all the information that you have that my son did this. Send me all the proof. Like I wasn't gonna send him anything. Send him all the screenshots. Send him all the text messages. Send him the Snapchat ticket with his son's name on it. They left me on red. I had to send the follow-up text saying, hey, could you like give me the reason why your son's doing this? And ignore me. My friend texted them, the mom, because she was so done with it. Instead of responding to me, she sent a rude text coming at me with my name in that text to her. Couldn't respond to me though. Called her mom saying, I don't know why your daughter's texting me, and left it as that and hasn't responded since. So guess I was right. But the reason you're probably like, Noelle, like, why are you still stuck on this? Because he painted such a bad narrative on my name. I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick of hearing his name after we broke up almost a year and a half ago. Like, I'm tired of it. And people to ask me, like, didn't you cheat on him? I did not cheat on him. He is the cheater. Once a cheater, always a cheater. I'm not the one. He just continues to write this bad narrative on my name, and that's not who I am. It is him, and it is not me.
Hello. It's been quite a while since I have made a TikTok, but my life is going to be changing significantly in 2026. So this is the beginning of me documenting that journey. My husband thought it would be a good idea. I thought it'd be a good idea to just spread awareness about what I'm going through, hopefully build a community of support, and just have something to look back on the other side of this once I'm in the clear. So without further ado, what is changing in my life in 2026? On December 10th, 2025, I was diagnosed with triple positive breast cancer at 34 years old. So that was a complete shock. I will be going through treatment ASAP because it is aggressive. And yeah, I mean, my life is definitely going to look very different for the foreseeable future. There is some good news going on as well, and that good news is that I am 15 weeks pregnant. So really excited to be bringing a little one into this world. It's my husband and I's first child, and the pregnancy is going amazing. And whenever I get down about the diagnosis, I have that little, ray of light to look at and just brighten my spirits. And while I have a million reasons to fight and I'm strong and I'm going to get through this, absolutely, like, that is my number one reason and guiding factor in coming out the other side of this, is just having that little one, fighting for them and making sure that they're safe and healthy and they can be proud of their mom who fought breast cancer while growing them and bringing them outside. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot to handle emotionally all at one time. finding out that I have breast cancer while pregnant early on definitely changes the pregnancy I thought I was going to have. But I have what I feel is a really strong oncology team behind me that's going to monitor me very closely and make sure I'm safe and everything we do is safe for baby. Treatment is starting soon. I start chemotherapy next Wednesday. I'm getting my port in tomorrow, which I'm weirdly more anxious about getting the port than doing the chemo itself because I can't be sedated for the port. So I mean, it's just a whole thing. But yeah, chemotherapy starts next Wednesday because I am triple positive. That means HER2 positive and hormone receptor positive. So not only is HER2 positive breast cancer aggressive, but it being hormone receptor positive and me being pregnant means being a ball of hormones is not great for this diagnosis. It's just, according to the doctors, feeding the mass and the tumor. It has spread to my lymph node. So, you know, they just really don't want to delay treatment and they want to start it as soon as possible. So what my treatment looks like is going to be 12 weeks of chemotherapy once every 3 weeks. And then once I start that, once I finish that regimen, it will be 12 weeks of chemotherapy once a week. And the goal is to get me to delivery. So 12 weeks going for the treatment once every 3 weeks, and then 12 weeks going for the treatment once a week, deliver baby, and then I would go through surgery, radiation, and another type of chemotherapy. They've mentioned Herceptin. That type of chemo is not safe for babies, so that's why I would have to do that after delivery. So that's why it's going to look like a little bit of a longer journey for me, because the pregnancy does like throw a wrench into things. But again, I can't be upset about that because in everything, I mean, it's been nonstop doctor's appointments since I've been diagnosed, but in everything I've learned, like, I was trying not to cry. In everything I've learned going through this, I'm understanding more and more how much of a blessing this little nugget, I mean, this was one of our first ultrasounds, so you can like barely see the baby, but this little nugget is just meant to be and meant to be here, and I'm so thankful for them. So that is my number one goal, the number one driving factor through this. When I'm sitting in treatment in that chair or that bed, whatever, I don't know what it's gonna look like, but you know, they're all I'll be thinking of. So I just wanted to get on here, talk about my diagnosis. I don't share a lot of this type of stuff on my like personal social media. I like that to be more fun and just like highlights and stuff like that. So this is different for me, being like vulnerable, but I know there's such a strong community of survivors and fighters on here, and if I could connect with any woman going through this and we can share strength with each other and share stories and just lift each other up, I mean, that would be incredible. I haven't known anyone personally in my age range to be diagnosed with breast cancer. I've done a lot of research on TikTok now. I mean, other research too, but like a lot of the videos I've come across on TikTok, I'm seeing that unfortunately younger women are being diagnosed more and more with breast cancer and with other types of cancer. So that is like really heartbreaking to see. I just personally haven't known anyone in my age range to go through this. So I wanted to just start connecting with people, and again, hopefully we can just like cheer each other on and fight together and watch each other come out the other side stronger. And it's a scary journey. I feel like I'm still in like the processing mode. People are asking me if I'm nervous about chemotherapy, and I can literally only take things one day at a time. So all I'm thinking about right now is getting my port in tomorrow. And I can't be sedated for the port. I don't know if I already said that. I'm rambling at this point, but that's kind of why I'm like a bit more anxious, but it is what it is. That's kind of been the main saying for me right now, is it is what it is. And I just have to do it and take it one day at a time. And just, again, think of my family and how important they are. And I have an amazing support system around me, so we'll get through it. Life, again, is just going to look a little different for the next couple of years, so that's the end of my ramble. This is a really long one. Thanks for those that stuck around. I will definitely be documenting more and more on here, but that's it for now. So if you stayed, thanks so much for staying, and I'm sure I'll be talking to you guys soon.
Okay, story time part 1. So today, 5 years ago, I got to meet the woman that my ex-husband, happily ex-husband, left us for. So long story short, every Christmas, the company he works at, people get each other gifts. It's usually management for their favorite employees. Some years it's better than others. He's been there since 2012 now, so I don't know what it's been the last 4 years, but anyways, this coworker of his, the now woman he's with, had gotten him a expensive airplane Lego set, and he asked me, hey, she got me this, I want to get something equivalent back, what do you suggest? Told me she was female. He didn't lead with that, but I got that out of him, and I was like, well, I work at a spa, like, why not go send her for like a massage or something, like, or go get her nails done or something girly, because we love that shit. And little did I know that those two were in cahoots secretly behind my back, and I did not know this for a few months. But today is the first day I met her, and she was super sweet to my face, but I could just tell something was off. And then a few days later, he didn't say anything to me, but we had taken our kids and my mom and my sister and brother at the time to go to the drive-in movie theater in our state for New Year's Eve night, and he invited her without saying anything to me or any of my other family members, or like nobody. And she just showed up, and the kids hung out with her like instantly. Like she's got good energy, but you can just tell something is just not right about her. And so anyways, it was a good night. I got to hang out with her, I got to know her a little bit, but still I was kind of like, I don't know about this person. Like usually I'm a very personable person, and like I make friends with everybody, but I kind of like wasn't sure about her. So that was my first 2 experiences with her. Little did I know, again, that these two were in cahoots behind my freaking back, already having an emotional affair. But man, the next few months to come unfold are a whirlwind of events that I hope no woman ever has to go through. But I'm here to share my story to be inspiration for any person in a relationship that needs it right now. So here we go. So quick backstory. We now have a 9 and 11-year-old. At the time that this all happened, we had been together for 11 years and married almost 8. We were pretty like open with hanging out with all of his coworkers, whether we went camping or we went to each other's birthday parties for our kids or baby showers for our kids, because some of them were older coworkers with older kids. Like we were just so intermingled like family that to me I didn't really have a reason to be worried. Like he could have a female coworker call him and I could answer the phone. Or he always, like even on his 1 weekend off a month, yeah, he worked all the time, but he had a really important position there. He would answer it, but nothing was ever hidden. Everything was very open. It was like I had nothing to worry about. He was very open about it, and you could tell just by his energy and his attitude, and that it wasn't fake or wasn't real. So like it wasn't very hard for me to tell when he was lying or when something wasn't right. And as things went on, he had stopped letting me have access to his phone. He had stopped letting me change the music in the car. He had stopped letting me answer the phone calls, whether it was his work phone or his cell phone. Even if it was his mom calling, I couldn't answer it. And it got pretty toxic pretty fast. And you take those with, oh, okay, I see what's going on here. I'm not stupid, but oh, okay. And yeah, like we had what I thought a pretty good relationship. So good that, I didn't think about the things that you would think about when things are happening. Like, hey, maybe you shouldn't be going out to the gun range with another female. Like he wasn't just a female he was going with 3 other guys that I knew. So I didn't think much of it. I didn't have to, because like I could join him on the weekends occasionally if I was out shopping in the city he works in, and everyone would be happy, like, hey, make sure your wife comes to lunch with us. Like
they all adored me. There was one coworker that got us hockey tickets all the time, and we got our son a jersey, and we got signatures from all the hockey players on it. Like, we were so loved and cherished and adored, and everyone wanted to be around us. Everyone thought we had the perfect marriage, and like knew us because they would spend time with us outside of work and get to know our kids and get to know us, and like people knew us for who we were. And so I didn't have a reason to be worried whatsoever. Like, he never given me any signs or any actions to be worrisome whatsoever. So I lead with that because it could just be normal stuff every day that you're not thinking about, and then it'll sneak up on you. I'm not saying be, like nosy all the time, but definitely be aware, because I was not aware, and I wish I would have been back then. Granted, I was still a baby, but yeah, just some food for thought. Good morning. Here's part 2 everyone's waiting for. So I would like to add that this could be a trigger warning for some who are in the middle of this situation, trying to get out of the situation, also have gotten out of the situation, years down the road still trying to heal from it. I'm sorry, bear with me. I am trying to be a positive in this situation because I know how hard it was, and I know how much those type of people who just were inspirational to me, it was so important back then, and it still is now. So please take it with that, and so much love, and I only want the best for you. So part 2 would be, so he always would like want to go out with coworkers like your spouse should be, and make friends and do stuff like that. But it got to the point that it was like multiple times a week, and he wasn't really asking about it, which I didn't mind. I was still home with the kids, worked 1 day a week. I always worked at least part-time throughout our marriage, sometimes full-time. But it got to the point that he was just going out all the time, which is fine. He wasn't getting drunk. He's not like a drinker, like in that sense. But he was, I'm gonna go to the gun range, or I'm gonna go out for dinner. And on the weekend, on Saturday, occasionally he'd be out for lunch while I was running errands, shopping or whatnot, and I would join them. I mean, like, we had most of his coworkers over for camping. Like, some of us would invite us for camping, some of us would come over for our kids' birthdays, or vice versa. Or he had one really good friend, we went to their daughter's graduation parties, and I went to one of their daughter's baby showers. Like, we were all pretty much like family, so I didn't think much of it, as you probably shouldn't. But I remember at one point he invited me to go along, and at this point, so March, I had hurt myself at work, and so I wasn't able to work and ended up losing that job. But I had hurt my hand and my foot, and so I struggled with that. And then I was also pretty sick with my low iron. I was getting transfusions and stuff like that, so I wasn't 100% myself, but I was not okay. Like, what do you do? So he invites me out, and I was like, I'll go out for dinner, but I'm not going to be up to go to the gun range because I can't shoot with my hand. Like, that's just not going to happen. And so he's like, okay, well, at least come out. And so, because I had kind of said something to him, I was like, you're never home anymore. What about the kids and I? Like, this is, like, what the heck? Like, you're always home. I'm fine with you going out, but, I mean, twice a week is sometimes a bit much when I'm not okay, especially medically. And so he invited me, and then April rolls around, and this man had been working at Boeing. Yep, Boeing. We're gonna go with that. For almost 10 years at this point. And he has a half an hour walk from his desk to where we would park in the parking lot, and then it's a half an hour back. From there, he also said he was going to be working on the flight line, which he did very often. He had clearance to do so, and so that's an additional 20 minutes out there. So hold on, this is going to be a longer story, so I'm going to go for part 3. Okay, part 3. This is where my eyes really opened, and this will probably trigger some of you. It broke me. Like, this was the first part I was going, oh my god, like, our marriage is over. So he had the long walk between his desk to his truck, and then his truck back to his desk, and then from his desk out to the flight line. So this man at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon texts me, hey, I'm gonna be working late today. I'm gonna go leave my phone in the truck. I gotta work on the flight line, military, yada, yada, yada. And in my head, instantly, he's never done that in the almost 10 years he's been there. And he has his own office. So normally he always has his phone in there and his work phone on him. So those were my two first red flags. I'm like, what are you talking about? But I was just like, okay, love ya, talk to you later, whatever. So that was about 2 o'clock that day. Well, at this point, I had friended this Chickadee, and yes, Chickadee they're still together. Yes, for all of you wanting to know, they are all still freaking together. But anyways, so I was friends with her on Facebook at this time, and 3 o'clock-ish rolls around, 4 o'clock-ish rolls around, 5 o'clock-ish rolls around. So he had originally told me he'd be 2 hours, which he was already pretty much always truthful, like how long he was gonna be, when he was gonna be home. He would always call me after he got off work. Hey, what's going on? What do you need help with when you get home? Like he gave a crap. This day he did not. So every hour on the hour, both of them are active on Facebook. The math didn't math, because you have to walk literally an hour and 20 minutes round trip to your truck to drop your phone, and then 50 minutes from the flight line back out to your truck if you don't stop at your office. How are you active on your phone already? Like, it just didn't make sense. So at 4 o'clock, the 2 hours he told me he would be, I call him. No answer. 5 o'clock. No answer. 6 o'clock. No answer. Still, every hour till he got home, they were both active for a little bit and then back off, like at the same time. And so 8 o'clock-ish that night, he comes home. And at this moment, we had our park model trailer that he now lives in on our property, because we had a little over 2 acres together. The kids and I were out there. I was crafting. The kids are playing Legos in the Lego loft. It ended up becoming their like Lego land up there. And so we were just chilling out there. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go find something else to do, like whatever. We'd ordered dinner and I just made the best of it. But in my gut, I knew something was wrong. So he comes stumbling home drunk. This man does not drink at all. And he wasn't like crazy drunk, but you could smell it on him. And ironically, he smelled like his favorite drink, which is really nothing. It's the Angry Orchard apple. And I happened to have a few in the trailer that I happened to be sipping on. So he had came into the trailer, up the stairs with the kids, and I came back in after him, and I didn't know whether he had just went straight upstairs or went into the living room to see what I was doing or whatnot. But I had an open one. So I asked him, hey, you smell like my drink. Did you have a sip? He's like, what are you talking about? Like in that tone. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I had said hi to him, and I was like, you okay? Like, you're home super late. And he didn't want to talk. He was super like irritated because I just want to see the kids. And I'm like, oh, okay. So he didn't have my drink, and I didn't finish mine. I was like, what the heck? And he didn't want to talk, and he told me to leave him the fuck alone and just wanted to hang out with the kids. And I'm like, you're not hanging out with the kids when you smell like that, so you can go inside the house. And he didn't want to listen to that. I don't remember exactly what happened. This is like almost 5 years ago. But I got angry enough that I ended up leaving the household. Side note, my grandparents lived there, so the kids weren't in immediate danger of me leaving them at the house. But that's another story we'll get to. So I leave, and I was gone for like 3 hours. I was so hurt. Like, I knew in that moment that something was going on. I didn't put 2 and 2 that it was her, but I just knew. Because of my last interaction with her when we all went out for dinner and I didn't go to the gun range, I'm like putting 2 and 2 together. So that night I come back and I give him my wedding ring and the kids' birthstone ring, which I have back now, and it took me forever to want to wear again. And I told them our marriage was over. So April was when I had realized it, and hold on, we'll get to the next part.
This next tenant story is very much near and dear to my heart because it's the only story, the only tenants that I have truly thought about at night since this story occurred. And the reason for that is because sadly in this story, there is children that get harmed. So that's my disclaimer for this story. If you're sensitive to that kind of content, please just go ahead and continue scrolling. Living it, I was definitely sensitive to it, and now I have a child of my own. Very much, it was, it kind of hit in a different way to think about it all over again, how it affected the kids and how it affected the mom. But going ahead and jumping in, setting the scene, don't need that right there. We have a 2-bedroom available for rent, and we have a girl named Carrie who is moving into town from one state over. And Carrie only knows one person in town who's her aunt, and she wants to get an apartment right away because she stayed with her aunt right when she moved, but one mom, 2 twin daughters who are probably right around 1 year old in age. It gets tight being with family. And so she comes, she views the apartment, she wants to rent it, she moves in the next day. Super quick turnaround. This is March. So March goes by, she's lovely, no issues with her at all, happy as can be. We see April. And the one thing to remember with these stories is at this time, my husband and I are eat, sleep, breathing these apartments. We live on site in another one of the 2 bedrooms. We work all day at our remote jobs, and then we renovate all night or are dealing with any kind of tenant issues, because at that time there were a lot of them. So April comes by. All of a sudden, a bunch of tenants are reaching out to us, letting us know they called the police on Carrie, on this tenant who moved in. They don't know who she is, but they said something's going on in that apartment. There is a very loud disturbance. It sounds like children are crying and screaming. Some man is there who's screaming. And so the police are on their way. And we said, you did the right thing. Thank you for letting us know. Thank you for calling the police. Before police can get there, the man runs out the back door. All of these apartments have back patios on the first floor. So he sprints out the back door, sprints through the backyard, and he runs away. Now we have security cameras, so we catch this all on camera. And as well, like I mentioned, we live right there. So we come outside and talk to the police and kind of check on what's going on. So super scary. We wait to see if she'll acknowledge it to us or talk to us about what happened. But no one wants to talk to your landlord about that, right? I mean, I get it. But as we are right there on site, we see her just a couple of days later, and we ask her what's going on. And she lies to us. She says that the man was somebody she was dating, but that, he was being rough and tough with his sisters who were there, his little sisters, and that, like, she just had never seen that side of him, and that she was done with him. Now, mind you, like I mentioned, we have security cameras. So we've seen the culprit. We know exactly what he looks like. We know who to look out for, who is the one causing this damage and this disturbance at our apartments. So we let her know, hey, great, glad you got rid of him. He's not allowed on our property anymore. And she said, of course not. I'm done with him. You know how that goes. So a little bit more time goes by, honestly, maybe like a week or two. And we start noticing he's still coming to the apartment. He's staying with her daughters. And, fine. I mean, it's your life. As long as there's not another disturbance, I'm not going to look for issues if there are none. But at that time as well, we are having work done on the back patios. We're having a drainage system put in. So we have contractors back there. And one day comes, he's at her house and she's at work and he's watching her daughters. And the contractor lets us know he is in there beating those little girls. I'll tell you the rest in part 2. Part 2 of our story as landlords, dealing with a tenant who we learned had a child being harmed. So starting off with that disclaimer, we're going to jump right into that harm. And so if you're sensitive to that subject, please go ahead and continue scrolling. So part 2, as I mentioned, our contractor who was working right outside of the apartment heard this boyfriend in there beating these children. And our contractor, wonderful man, has children of his own, was very affected by hearing this. And he came to us right away and said, hey, we need to talk because it sounds like he's harming these children with a belt. And I'm about to break down the door and go in there. So I just need to do something because I can't let this happen. So at that point, it had all ended. The crying had ended. It was over, whatever had happened. And we took this information back and kind of had to ruminate with it and figure out what we were going to do. Because officially, guys, remember, we're landlords. We're close to all of this because we live on site, so we know a lot of what's going on. But in general, you think about it, it's like, okay, well, from a legal standpoint, legally this doesn't affect us, right? Legally, they haven't done anything to break their lease. You could come in and say this was none of our business. You're thinking probably, hey, we already know an incident happened like a week or 2 ago. So likely this mother knows this kind of behavior is happening with this boyfriend and is choosing to stay with him. But for us, morally, we could not allow it to happen. And while we had limited resources to stop it, we had to make it known to her that it was not acceptable and we wouldn't be allowing it in our apartments. We were doing all this to clean up these apartments and we couldn't just do that, not with a child, not with anybody, honestly. So we had big discussions on how we were going to deal with this, how we were going to make sure we ensured our safety while moving forward. And we figured we need to document this in case it ever came back on us, document. So we wrote a formal letter saying that this had occurred. We had been informed about it. It was not acceptable. And that by no means was this person allowed on our property. He was not a tenant. And it was, we would be calling the police if he was on the property again. She would be getting evicted, like formal notice. And sending it to her, we were under every single impression that she knew this was happening to her daughters, or it was happening to her, or both. So we send the letter, we text her, and we let her know the letter was in her mailbox and to please read it and respond acknowledging that she had read it upon getting home from work. So she gets home, she reads it, she texts us back immediately and says, can we speak in person? To which we said yes. But of course I was like, I'm not going to go do that alone. And we're going to do it outside. I'm not going into your apartment. So I go over to her apartment, and I just have no idea what to expect. But she basically comes out and bursts into tears and says that she had no idea. This relationship was new. With what occurred prior, he hadn't been physically abusive, just verbally abusive, and she should have seen the signs of how his sisters had reacted to it, but that she just never expected it was going to be happening to her kids. She did go and check her children, and she did find welts on them, so giving that physical proof that this had occurred. So from there, she says, nope, he's done. Like, I'm not gonna be in domestic abusive relationship. I'm not going to allow this to happen to our children. So we were very pleased that we had let her know, and that she did decide to do something about that. Following the next month, she did break up with him right away. He was not allowed on our property, as I previously mentioned. He did choose to stalk her. So he was sitting in a car right off of our property, just watching her a couple of times in that next month. She alerted us every time. She would alert police. We kind of had her back at that point. Again, we lived on the property. We would go out there and just like make our presence known. When I say we, I mean my husband, because like no one's gonna be scared of me coming out there, but he would come out there, and he does have a concealed carry. So just like as an added security for her, letting her know we were there. When she left to go travel, she would let us know. We would get security sticks like set up at her apartment and all. We changed her code because she had like a fingerprint and code to get into her apartment. So really just trying to be an aid to her. But as of May, she decided to move out. She let us know, hey, I'm moving out today. I'm going to go be with my mom, who was just diagnosed with an illness. And we were like, yeah, get out of here. Like, do what you need to do. I mean, you've already been through so much and you're not even from this town. So start over again and be with your mom and, you know, have a better life. So wishing her all the best, and hoping for the best life for her and those little girls. Right.
I told her. She was introducing me to someone, and we were making jokes about growing up down the street. And I was like, yeah, Em's the one who my mom always said, why can't you be more like Emily growing up? And she goes, what? We had a good laugh.
Hey, I just want to respond because I saw a lot of comments like this one on my last video, and it was a lot of, you should have called the police. If the police had been called, this would have been the result. And I feel like I get it. I 100% understand your perspective. But also I feel like people who make these comments haven't really dealt with police at scale. We have been fortunate enough to get a firsthand experience of how police kind of deal with these kind of situations and other situations. And in fact, I think you've inspired my next video, which is going to be a rapid story time of all the times police have come to answer our calls and done nothing. First off, the police had been called a couple of days ago. Check part 1 out, and they did nothing. And 2, there's really only 2 ways this would have gone if the police had been called. Either 1, they get there and they do exactly what people have said. They come in, they tear the little baby's clothes off, and they find the abuse on the babies. They take the babies away. The babies go to CPS, and then in result, they go to foster care. The loving mother, who had no idea this was happening, would lose her babies and be put into a system in which more trauma would be created. So yes, benefit, the guy, the evil guy gets his punishment, but also you're punishing those babies, you're punishing the mom. So that was something we took into consideration with our next actions. Another way this could have gone is we did not hear what happened. The contractor heard something going on that he thought was abuse, but he calls the police. He says, it sounds like abuse is happening in there. The police roll on up, knock on the door. The guy comes to the door and he says, oh no, I was working out and it was making a lot of big banging noises. And the banging was, startling the children. And so the children were crying. So that's what he heard. And then nothing happens. That's been my experience with the police. Again, we've worked with them a lot of times. And so all in all, I understand it,
But please understand there's other perspectives. The way we took things, which we dealt with same day, that man never saw those children again, led to just a much more positive response for the mom. She was able to get on with her life and get those kids out of danger. And we did 4 weeks advise her to call the police on him and make sure this didn't happen. But for reasons that are her own, she chose not to do that. She chose to take other action and tell family members and get the word out there. But again, she was the victim. She deserved to take action and make those next steps. And I'm not going to blame a victim for the way they deal with that kind of trauma. But check out my next story, because we're going to get into how do the police usually respond when horrible things are happening.
Hello, can you hear me? Wake up, Chrissy! Chrissy, wake up! I don't like this, Chrissy, wake up!
I'm really excited to make this video. So, rapid fire. What would the police do if this situation occurred to you? Now, starting off, I just want to say I highly respect the police. They do amazing things for not super high salaries and put their life at risk. So in saying this, I am not trying to just completely bash the police. I also understand these events took place not too long after the George Floyd riots in 2020. And so in result, I lived in a blue city, and there was a lot of cuts going on, meaning that they were overworked and really could not respond very well or give extra care in situations. With that in mind, I'm going to tell 3 stories. Every story is completely different, and every story has just a wild response. Story number 1, if you go back to my first landlord story, you'll realize on day 1 of us taking over, we saw that one of our tenants' doors had been kicked in. And so, of course, what did we do? We called the police and did a welfare check. And in result of them coming and doing that welfare check, they found that the apartment was full of drugs. Every drug you can imagine. They were really keeping the city stocked with drugs. Thank you, tenant number 1. And in result to that, of course, they get all the drugs out and they put out a warrant for that tenant's arrest because she was not there at that time. Day number 2, after this occurring, that tenant gives me a phone call. And in that phone call, she makes it very clear that I am to blame for her warrant and how I had no right to do that welfare check. And in result of my actions, all of these terrible things were happening to her. So because it was my fault, of course she needed retribution. So she let me know on that phone call that my safety, my husband's safety, were at risk now. That she and her friends who were still in the area would be getting me. That we would pay for this. She threatened my life, my husband's life, and then she also threatened our property. She said, well, I know where that apartment is. I know you own it now. Just get ready for what we're gonna do to those apartments. Pretty scary. Honestly, I've never dealt with anything like that. So what do? I call up the police and I say, scary, scary police, I'm a law-abiding citizen. Could you help me, please? My life has been threatened. In phone call, and she also did it in text message, so I had it in writing. And as well, my property has been threatened. Is there anything you can do? And the police basically laughed in my face and said they can't do anything until the crime has been committed. And maybe, just maybe, I should buy a gun. So that's what we did. We bought a gun. Also, just a quick side note, I think anybody who's really anti-Second Amendment rights has never had their life threatened, because we were really happy that we were able to buy a gun at that point. That's story number 1. Story number 2. Years down the line, this occurs. We have some, a little gang of teenagers that live in the neighborhood. And for whatever reason, they like to target our apartments. Now, this is after we've renovated them. So they've gone from kind of run down looking to really nice looking, and it's just known that there's renters in there, whereas the rest of the neighborhood is homeowners, so they get targeted a little bit. These gang of teenagers decide one night to run up on the doors and try and kick in all of the doors. Now at this point of us being the owners, we have reinforced these doors with really thick screws so they can't get in any of them, thankfully. But boy, is that really scary for the tenants that were at home. So they call the police, they've got video footage. The police talk to the teenagers and we talk to the police and we say, hey police, these teenagers have done things in the past and we've talked to them, we've talked to their parents. Is there anything we can do to give a little bit of comfort to our tenants? And they basically say, well, if they're under 18, there's not too much we can do. The one thing we can do is do a no trespassing order, where we basically serve them with papers saying, you cannot trespass on this property. To which I say, absolutely, I want to do that order. Anything I can do to give my tenants a little bit of peace of mind that they are going to be protected from this kind of thing happening again. And so he says, okay, absolutely. I'm going to send you my phone number and my email. I'm going to go back. I have, night duty, so I might not get it done tonight, but I am going to write those up and we will get those served out. Weeks and weeks and weeks go by and nothing happens. I've called, I've emailed, I've called the 911, and I've called straight, not to the guy, but to the office, and no one ever called me back. Too much work, I guess, to actually do the no trespassing order. So to this day, we were not able to get that